Hello everyone, welcome to a new process video. This one is a 6x8 pocket page and I have an insert for this side, not a full page, just an insert with two horizontal 3x4s, and then I have this side with two horizontal 4x6s. That's not a combination I use a whole lot, so it'll be interesting for me to work with this, and I chose it just because it seemed like that is what was going to best fit these photos. I didn't want to have two inserts next to each other and have them all just be 3x4 slots. And there's some beautiful color happening here. If you look closely at this photo, I hope the light shows it all right. You can see that lovely sort of aqua in the background, and I wanted to make sure that I bring that out. It's sort of an aqua green teal thing happening, and you don't see that too often. And this is an art exhibit, so I thought, well, why not really try to make it about the color? So that's what I'm starting with today. These are all photos from the big Degas exhibit that I went to when I was in Denver. That was the whole reason for the trip. So I really want to showcase Degas, the works that I saw, what they mean, those kinds of things. So I have lots of that sort of half planned, and then we'll just see how it goes. I have this lovely card here, and I think I found this via Project Life on one of the kits they have, and I printed it because the color worked, but it's blank. Normally I'd put a saying or something there, but I went for it just because of the color, and I really have no idea how I'm going to fill this space, so I don't know. It'll be a challenge for me, that's for sure. So let's get started. For these photos, I thought a good starting point might be to pick out some washi, because I do have limited space around these photos, and then since I don't know what I'm doing here, I figured maybe washi was a good way to sort of start the palette and get some ideas going. So I've picked out a couple of rolls of washi here, and I went with brown, not black, for this one, because if you look close down here, I think that these lines that are showcased here are actually a very, very dark brown. The gold from around the painting in the frame has more of a brown tone because it's gold. This is more of a mustard, but I think it's a variant of brown, and there's also some here. And so I thought, well, I'm going to pull that just to see if that'll work as my neutral. And then I pulled the other three here to go more with the obvious color scheme, that teal slash leaning towards aqua color. And then, so I have just this thin one. This is plain, no pattern. And then I pulled these, which are both gold. This one is very, very thin, even thinner than the other one there. That's just a plain gold. And then this one with a stripe, because I thought maybe it would mimic this. Now, I wouldn't use these on the same card. That's too much stripe. But maybe over here or over here, I don't know. Something just to offset that. And I may not end up using any of these. I was just trying to find a good starting point that would help me sort of jump into the design. And so these were the ones that I selected. The first thing that I did here was I added some of that washi. So I added the very thin single gold strip, and then I brought in some of the teal. And what's interesting is, hopefully the camera is showing this here, is that this one is so thin and it's more papery that when I put it on there, it kind of gives it sort of a mottled look behind it. That actually works really well here because it lets that background, come through a little bit. So I'm okay with that. And I love that it brought in those colors because this, it's essentially black and white almost. It's kind of boring to just see that without any color. So this adds in that little pop that I think will help it blend in with everything else. For this photo on the top right hand side, I decided to adhere it a little more to the left so it's not exactly centered, and then use some of that brown washi that I had pulled before. I decided to use that on this left hand side. That leaves me enough room to add something over here, maybe a phrase, some little embellishments, I'm not sure, but I like the look of it. And then with this one I plan to do the opposite. I wouldn't like them stacked up like that, so I'm going to put this one more towards the right. There will probably be washi on this side. I'm not sure I'm going to use that same brown, but I'll use something. And then it gives me an option of something over here. Maybe it'll be stamping, who knows. And then this is still my wild card. I'm not sure what to do with that yet. So I'm just going to continue working on the right hand side to see how that comes together before I go back to this. When I went into my stash looking for things that were going to go with this, I came across these. These are a sticker sheet from Coco Daisy from a previous kit that I had from them. And I was first struck by this one that just says today. It has brown in it, which would match. There is a little red in here from this, what this person is wearing over here. So I think I could maybe get away with it. And then I looked at this one, which is interesting because it's dots. And that is mainly what the Impressionists worked in. That was how they made their work look the way it works. Now, that doesn't necessarily go here so much. You can see it a little bit in this painting, but you'd have to look closely. And this is more of just a sketch, but I think maybe it would set the tone. I'm just worried about the color and then how those dots are going to mix with stripes. So I don't know, but I'm looking at this trying to think, could I piece it together where I have one of these, you know, like they're next to each other, and then maybe a small one here to fit in so that it's a trio. So I'm going to mess with that and see what I can come up with here. So this is what I came up with for this card. I did use 2 of the larger stickers, and then I inserted one here just so I would have a trio, and it still looked too blank. So then I brought in some of the same washi as here, so they'll be offset in diagonal corners there. And then I put one more sticker on that's a lighter version of this hue in that little heart there. And that brings in some of that white as well, which I think helps. It doesn't have to be, you know, 100% color. There needs to be some white balance there too. So done with that side. I think that's all I'm going to do there. Now I have to figure out what to do with the rest of these pieces. I've decided that I'm going to do some stamping here, and I'm going to use just my basic brown ink. This is an old one from Stampin' Up, and I think I'm going to use some things from this stamp set. This is a set from Citrus Twist. Let me do this here. And I know I want to use the Unexpected up here simply because when it comes to Degas, I'm far more familiar with his paintings first, his sculpture second, not really with his drawings at all, his sketches. And so to see one on such a large scale, like right at the beginning, it was unexpected. And so I think I'm going to use some of these to convey that, certainly here, and then I'll pick maybe some other phrases to go on this one. So I have my stamp inked up, ready to go here, and I think I'm just going to stamp it over here. There we go. That's a good start. I still feel like maybe it's a little blank up here, so I'll have to figure out something, or maybe I'll stack a couple of phrases here. Not quite sure yet. I did add one more stamp over here. I stamped surprise, and the E didn't come out totally perfectly, but that's all right. I'm going to leave it. I don't trust myself to stamp over it again. I'd probably just make it worse, so I'm going to leave it. But when I was looking at the card, I decided it needed something. It needed a little more shine or something to draw the eye. So I just added a clear rhinestone here, and I think that does help. So now I'm going to leave that one alone. And then I decided to balance that and sort of, you know, have a cohesive look on the other side, that I would do that over here too. So I did add one in right there. And now I just have to figure out what to do on this bottom card. As it turns out, I won't be using this washi at all. I just went with the other 3, which is fine, but I still need to find something over here. So I'm going to go through my stamps again, and hopefully I'll find something that will work with this design. I did some stamping on the bottom pocket as well. I did in pictures, moments, happy living, and then I decided to add in a rhinestone here as well, and then I get the visual triangle like so. And I think I'm going to leave it. I like it that it's a little bit sparse because really I want it to be about the art, not about the rest of the stuff. So if the focus stays on the art, I'm doing something right. So I'm okay with this one being as it is. The next couple layouts that I do that feature Degas works are much more vibrant and busy, so those may be a little bit of a challenge to not overdo it, but for this one I think this is a good start. So thanks for watching, everybody.